I once said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Today, I invite you into the deepest journey you will ever take, the journey into yourself. This is not a journey of mere curiosity. This is a journey of transformation. You are not here by accident. You are here because a vast part of you is ready to be seen, known, and integrated. In the world, you play many roles: the one who smiles, the one who gives, the one who learns, the one who achieves. But beneath all these roles lies a truth far greater than your persona, a truth that is waiting to rise and shape your destiny. For decades, I have studied the human mind, not to pathologize it, but to illuminate it. And what we discover together is not a flaw to be fixed, but a powerful self waiting to emerge. This is your voyage into the hidden parts of your psyche, into the shadows you never knew were shaping your life. Until now, you have been taught to live by what you can see, your thoughts, your plans, your actions. But this is only the surface. Beneath the conscious mind exists a vast, immeasurable reality, the unconscious, where dreams speak in symbols, where abandoned desires wait, where forgotten wounds reside. Imagine your consciousness like a lighthouse beam, scanning only what you are willing to look at. Outside that beam lies an entire ocean, dark, powerful, misunderstood. In this ocean live the forces that shape your dreams, your fears, your subconscious habits, and yes, the invisible scripts that repeat over and over inside you. Unless you shine light into these hidden waters, they will continue to guide your life from the background. This is not metaphor. This is psychological truth. Try to remember the first time you realized you played a role, perhaps to be loved, accepted, or admired. You create a mask, what I call the persona, to navigate the world. It protects you. It helps you function. And yet, it also hides the truth. Your persona carries the wishes of your upbringing, what others wanted you to be, instead of who you really were. And so you ask yourself, who am I beneath the mask? What parts of me have I denied? YouTube. This mask is necessary, but if you cling to it too tightly, you forget the face beneath it. Now, we come to the heart of your inner world, the part you fear, deny, or avoid. This is the shadow. The shadow is everything you have rejected in yourself: emotions, impulses, desires, weaknesses, traits you were told were unacceptable. They do not disappear when you ignore them. They only grow stronger in darkness. You deny jealousy, and it becomes resentment. You deny anger, and it turns into numbness. You deny parts of your own truth, and they control you through fear and projection. The shadow is not evil. It is undeveloped. It is the peanut that was never cracked open, containing not only what frightened you, but what could empower you. And when you refuse to look at it, you project it onto others. You will see in them what you have not yet seen in yourself: your unclaimed power, your hidden wounds, your unresolved longing. To deny your shadow is to remain half awake, but to meet it is to awaken fully. Shadow work is not about fixed answers. It is about courageous inquiry. It's about asking yourself the questions you've been too afraid to hear the answers to. What emotions rise when I feel criticized? What patterns repeat in my relationships? What parts of me do I judge in others? What dreams have I buried? These questions are not comfortable. They are the gold keys to your unconscious. Shadow work does not make you perfect. it makes you whole. Because when you bring your unconscious into consciousness, when you greet your neglected parts with honesty instead of judgment, you unlock a hidden reservoir of strength, creativity, intuition, and personal freedom. You learn that your fears are not enemies, they are teachers. Your wounds are not scars of defeat, they are openings to deeper wisdom. You transform fear into presence. You transform resistance into curiosity. You transform fragmentation into wholeness. This is the alchemy of the psyche. This is the true work of individuation, becoming the whole person you were always meant to be. Now, I ask you, what would your life look like if you no longer tried to hide from yourself? If you no longer tried to be who others expected, but instead fully claimed who you really are? The unconscious is not your enemy. It is your hidden self, waiting to be invited into your daylight awareness. When you make the unconscious conscious, you stop being directed by unseen forces. You begin to design your life with intention. This is the path to authentic freedom, deep purpose, and inner abundance. A life that flows from inner clarity, not external validation. So ask yourself today, what part of myself am I ready to face? What hidden gift lies beneath my fear? What truth is calling me to rise? This is not just psychology. This is the spiritual journey into the infinite within you. And it begins with one simple decision: to look within. You think this decision is small. It is not. It is the hinge upon which your entire life swings. When you choose to look inward, you are choosing truth over comfort, awareness over illusion, depth over distraction. You are choosing to stop living around yourself and start living from yourself. Most men and women spend their lives decorating the outer world while leaving the inner world in ruins. They polish the surface and wonder why nothing changes at the core. They seek control, not realizing they are already controlled by impulses, beliefs, and emotional residue that operate without introduction. I spent years sitting across from souls who believed they were powerless, unlucky, or incomplete. And every time, without exception, their suffering had the same root. They were living out a story they never consciously authored. So let me speak plainly. If your life feels accidental, it is because your psyche has been living by inheritance instead of design. You inherited ideas about success. You inherited ideas about love. You inherited ideas about duty. You inherited ideas about fear. You inherited ideas about shame. You inherited ideas about limitation. But inheritance is not identity. Identity is chosen. And the moment you choose identity, you stop negotiating with the world like a beggar. You begin shaping it like a creator. You want wealth? Then meet the part of you that fears it. You want love? Then meet the part of you that doubts it. You want freedom? Then meet the part of you that obeys out of fear. You want happiness? Then meet the part of you that moralizes emotion. You want power? Then meet the part of you that hides brilliance. The unconscious is not a vault. It is a living force. It expands in secrecy and dissolves in recognition. When you refuse to see parts of yourself, you fracture your energy and scatter your potential. But when you see yourself fully, even the parts that do not flatter you, you consolidate your psychic power into one beam instead of 1,000 sparks. This is why my work lives at the intersection of psychology and mysticism. Because the psyche is not only personal, it is symbolic, universal, mythic. It is the same landscape where gods, heroes, monsters, lovers, sages, and kings were born long before they appeared in your bedtime stories. They did not vanish. They migrated inward. You carry them all. And so, the great tragedy is not your shadow. It is your unconscious loyalty to a life that does not belong to you anymore. Break that loyalty, not by force, but by awareness. Awareness is not gentle, but it is kind. Because the psyche is relieved when it is finally acknowledged. The shadow does not ask to be loved. It asks not to be lied to. And when you stop lying to yourself, the shadow stops weaponizing your fear against you. It becomes a resource instead of a ruler. I have seen a pattern across every human transformation. The ego wants evolution. The shadow wants honesty. The self wants unification. Give them all what they ask for, and the psyche stops resisting your growth. Then, and only then, your outer world begins to reshape itself, not as coincidence, but as consequence. Let me tell you something you already feel, but haven't articulated yet. You are not afraid of your darkness. You are afraid of your greatness without armor. But armor is not integration. Integration is enough. You do not need to defend a self you finally understand. And so I challenge you with this. Descend into yourself willingly, not dramatically, not to destroy, but to discover. Do not descend to fix yourself. Descend to meet yourself as an equal, because the unconscious is not conquered. It is consulted. And once consulted, it cooperates. This is why transformation works in seasons, not moments. Why it demands consistency. Why it rewards patience. Why it requires surrender, not struggle. Not surrender of ambition, surrender of illusion. When you surrender illusion, you do not lose direction. You gain clarity. You gain the courage of the hero, the steadiness of the king, the discipline of the warrior, the intuition of the magician, the compassion of the mother, the depth of the lover, the vision of the self. These forces are not earned through perfection. They are unlocked through integration. The world calls this personal development. I call it remembering your inner architecture. And if you commit to this remembering for 90 days, not to rush individuation, but to initiate it, you will see the psyche begin to reorganize your life. You will notice decisions feel less forced, discipline feels less fragile, confidence feels less borrowed, clarity feels less noisy, your desires feel less guilty, your direction feels less negotiable. Because the psyche does not thrive in conflict. It thrives in alignment. Alignment is not dreamy. It is lethal to doubt. It makes your path obvious, even when it is not easy. So here is the secret most people are not ready to hear. You do not lack motivation. You lack integration. Integrate your psyche, and motivation becomes a byproduct, not a battle. And remember this too. A psyche that is finally whole does not whisper. It speaks through you like certainty. Certainty is not loud, it is unshakable. And unshakable voices shake the world. Not because they shout, but because they originate from the depths. So, if you want 500,000 views, influence, impact, wealth, freedom, understand this. People do not watch perfection. They watch truth that feels like a reckoning. Give them a reckoning. Not imitation, origination. You do not borrow the fire of a visionary. You ignite your own by meeting the source within. The psyche is your stage. The unconscious is your scriptwriter. The shadow is your untapped momentum. Individuation is your ascension. But ascension without descent is fantasy. Descent without awareness is chaos. Descent with awareness is transformation. So descend consciously. Look inward without apology. Recognize yourself without dramatization. See your patterns without defending them. Name your wounds without worshipping them. Recruit your shadow without fearing it. Unify your archetypes without silencing them. Because a designed life is not built by force. It is built by psychic unity and intentional decision. And it starts here. You looked within. Now continue, because the psyche is already responding. You will rise, not because you fought the world, but because you stopped fighting yourself. Now, let us continue into the terrain where theory meets flesh, where the psyche reveals itself in ordinary lives. When a man comes home after a long day, exhausted not by labor but by inner friction, he believes he needs rest. Often, what he truly needs is resolution. His unconscious is spending energy faster than his body ever did. Take Martin, a 42-year-old architect from Chicago. He once sat with me in analysis, not literally but symbolically, like many who encounter my ideas long after I spoke them. Martin believed he lacked ambition. His company was struggling, his designs uninspired, his income plateaued. Yet his journals told a different story. In his dreams, he was building cities that defied gravity, sketching structures that changed landscapes. His conscious mind called these dreams unrealistic. His unconscious called them instructions. Martin feared presenting bold ideas in meetings. One day, his business partner pitched a daring, eco-futuristic skyscraper concept. The boardroom erupted, some impressed, some threatened. Martin felt an unexpected surge of anger, not because the idea was flawed, but because he did not speak it first. He projected his own disowned visionary onto another man. That anger was not envy. It was energy returning from exile. The following week, he designed a concept even bolder, integrating sustainable vertical forests into a 120-story tower. This time, his voice didn't shake. His hands didn't hesitate. He did not need applause to speak. The design itself had become his permission slip. His firm signed the biggest contract in its history. Wealth came not from new motivation, but from shadow reclaimed. Then there was Ella, a 28-year-old teacher from California. She loved her job, but hated her voice. She posted educational content online and deleted it before dawn. She told herself, "I'm too emotional, too intense, too expressive." The world told her to be softer. Her shadow begged to roar. She did not fear her sadness. She feared her unfiltered authenticity. One night, she wrote a poem after losing someone she loved. It carried echoes of my psychology: grief, archetype, rising rebirth. She posted it at 6 a.m. No editing, no apology, no mask. The video hit 2.1 million views within weeks. Strangers commented, "I don't know why, but this felt personal." Because depth always feels personal even when it's universal. Her persona wanted to teach. Her shadow wanted to speak truth without censorship. Integration allowed both, and so her voice reached millions, not because she polished it, but because she stopped interrupting it. Now, consider this too. A mother who always gives, but secretly resents receiving help, believes she is noble. Her shadow whispers, "You are afraid of being supported." A man who constantly jokes but avoids serious emotional talks believes he is charismatic. His shadow murmurs, "You are terrified of intimacy." A creator who studies others obsessively but fears posting their own work, believes they need more preparation. Their shadow replies, "You are avoiding exposure, not unprepared." Shadow work is not about becoming dark. It is about stopping the unconscious dictatorship of unexamined light and pain. Only when you dethrone what has ruled you invisibly do you finally become the ruler of your own life. I learned this not from books alone, but from the living theater of human souls. In the early years of my work, a man named Samuel entered my office in Zurich. He was a celebrated surgeon from London. Admired, respected, successful, and quietly unraveling. Outwardly, he saved lives. Inwardly, he feared losing control of his own. His breakdown did not come through failure in his craft, but through a collapse in his private world. He dreamed often of performing surgery on himself, unable to stop the bleeding. He believed the dream meant he was broken. I recognized something deeper. He was treating his psyche like a patient instead of a partner. The bleeding was not proof of defeat. It was proof of pressure. His unconscious was overflowing with unprocessed emotional history, a reservoir of pain he believed he had transcended, yet never analyzed. Samuel once lost a patient on the operating table early in his career. He never processed the grief. He masked it with overachievement. The psyche does not forget what the ego avoids grieving over. His hunger for control came from a fear of being powerless again, a fear that lived in the unconscious, not in his conscious reasoning. When he finally allowed himself to grieve consciously, his dreams stopped showing blood. They began showing healing hands. His precision in surgery became sharper, not shakier, because the psyche, once acknowledged, no longer leaks energy through symbolic catastrophe. Then there was Clara, a 24-year-old poet from New York. She believed she was haunted by insecurity. Every poem she wrote felt like confession, yet she posted none of them. She admired legacy, yet feared leaving one. Her fear was not insecurity. It was visibility without armor. One night, she finally posted a raw spoken poem online. "I rise even when I don't know how. I rise because staying down is more exhausting than standing." The poem did not echo another voice. It echoed the collective psyche. Within weeks, millions had heard it. Because the collective unconscious recognizes its own language when spoken honestly. It is not plagiarism to speak from the source. It is plagiarism to speak from the mask. Clara finally spoke without mask, and her psyche, relieved from secrecy, pushed her outward voice into rooms she never consciously entered. This is how unseen power becomes seen influence. In the boardrooms of America, I observed leaders who dominated rooms, yet feared intimacy. They spoke, but never from I. They spoke from role, not revelation. One such executive, Richard 51 from California, was a brilliant strategist who sabotaged every personal relationship in his life. He feared rupture more than loneliness. He feared rejection more than self-betrayal. In meetings, he convinced companies. In life, he could not convince himself he was worthy of connection without performance. His shadow carried a suppressed lover archetype. The part of him that wanted depth, tenderness, reciprocity, vulnerability, emotional presence, human connection, without conditions. The moment he allowed himself to speak from I in a meeting. I don't fear challenge. I fear not being known while being challenged. The room leaned in more than when he performed confidence, because truth carries a gravity no persona can mimic. Let me take you into a more ordinary home. A father named Elias, 38, from Toronto, was adored by his children, feared by his colleagues, and privately confused by his emotional storms. He would rage silently in the car after work, unable to express boundaries in the office. His unconscious linked anger with danger because his mother punished emotional fire, but praised stoic silence. One day, his 7-year-old son asked him a simple question. Why do you shout only when no one is shouting back? A child saw the shadow faster than the man ever did. The next week, Elias spoke boundaries openly at work without shouting. I do not explode because I am angry. I explode because I never learned to say no consciously. His colleagues respected him more than when he faked calm. Because a conscious no prevents an unconscious eruption. And this is what all these souls teach you. The shadow holds your disowned parts, not to shame you, but to complete you. Inside it lives the warrior who never learned to speak boundaries, the lover who feared being known without performance, the king who admired legacy but feared claiming one, the magician who believed preparation was safer than creation, the child who obeyed while the emotions sank, the adult who later asked why life repeated by instinct. Shadow work is not indulgence in darkness. It is liberation from unconscious scripts. A designed life is built when your ambition loses shame, your boundaries lose danger, your vulnerability loses catastrophe, your silence loses fear, your creativity loses comparison, your wealth loses guilt, your identity loses masks, your voice loses imitation, your psyche loses fragmentation. Then you stop battling your own energy and start channeling it. The world does not magnetize itself to comfort. It magnetizes itself to truth embodied. I have seen this across continents. People are not inspired by polished light. They are inspired by integrated depth. A man once built pyramids. A child once named storms. A visionary once descended. A psyche once cooperated. A world once leaned in. Not because the speaker was perfect, but because the speaker was whole. You want wealth and happiness? Do not ask the world for more proof of your potential. Ask your psyche for proof you have finally stopped negotiating with your own denied parts. Because when the unconscious loses its dictatorship, the conscious finally gains its destiny. And destiny is not loud, it is inevitable. I speak to you not from a theory. I speak to you from the source of every myth, every breakdown, every ascension, every archetypal activation, every suppressed genius, every unlived life that finally demanded design instead of drift. This is not philosophy. This is your activation. You do not rise when you learn more. You rise when you recruit more of yourself. And when you recruit all parts of your psyche into the council of your life, the world stops asking who gave you permission. Because you stop needing permission, you begin living as the self, the unified intersection of conscious direction and unconscious power. Not perfection, not performance, not adaptation, wholeness. And wholeness is the only state from which a life of infinite abundance can truly rise, without guilt, without shame, without comparison, without collapse, without imitation, without unconscious sabotage, without fear of visibility, without rupture in conflict, without fragmentation in desire. Only then does your life no longer feel steered by unseen hands, but by your own awakened awareness, consciously authored, unconsciously supported, outwardly manifested, inwardly aligned, timeless in principle, modern in application, inevitable in momentum, sovereign in identity, and infinite in abundance. If, as you listen to my words, something within you shifts, stirs, or feels familiar, do not let it fade in silence. The psyche speaks first through feeling, long before understanding arrives. And so, I extend this invitation to you now. If you feel something, acknowledge it. If you recognize something, name it. If you see yourself in these words, allow it. If you awaken to a hidden truth, share it. Leave a comment below. Not because you must, but because you are finally speaking back to your inner world instead of muting it. And if my message has opened a door in your mind, heart, or spirit, if it has ignited curiosity, strength, or remembrance within you, then continue the journey of self-mastery and inner transformation with me. Subscribe to At Infinite in Abundance, not just to watch a video, but to continue an unfolding of the self through the wisdom of those who mapped the inner world long before you learned you had one. And remember this too. When you comment, you are not only confirming your own awakening, you are offering permission to someone else who needed to hear it as well. So tell me, in the comments, what is one truth you are rising with today? What part of yourself are you finally meeting instead of fearing? What pattern have you seen clearly for the first time? Because the moment you speak from within, the outer world begins listening back. And that is how connection begins, momentum begins, community begins, transformation begins, and abundance begins. Always from the same place, within you.